बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि।
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि।
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि।
The ancient Arya Dharma from the prehistoric times stressed on the importance of the path of dharma in the life on earth. The ultimate goal of every soul has been identified as moksha, meaning the final absorption in the ultimate truth behind this creation. The rishis, or the sages in the remote past, who lived in the Aryavarta, the region between the rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati, chose to spend their time in seclusion, in penance, the tapas. Their teachings to mankind, to the Aryans in particular, prescribed the path of dharma in life and attainment of moksha. Ever since, many people followed this path to reach that goal. The path of dharma, however, included the Vedic ritual for the benefit of mankind and preserve nature's bounty. The ancient Aryan culture ruled the life of the Aryans for a long time, punctuated by the turn of the yugas. The present Kali Yuga era started in 3100 BC, and the Vedic religion of India continued to rule the life, the thought, and the faith of the people uninterrupted. The stage then was set for the arrival of another great soul on this earth, the right answer to the requirement of those times and people. Around 500 BC, Gautama Buddha arrived on the scene to remind the people of this ancient country about the importance of emancipation or moksha, which he called the nirvana, rather than the attention to the Vedic ritual. From then on, the history of India took a great leap towards a life of resignation and meditation. People from all walks of the society, the kings and queens, the Brahmin and the farmer, all took to this life by the million. 25 centuries have elapsed since the great Tathagata Buddha walked on this ancient land. It should be interesting to revisit the historic milestones of the great Buddha and the great locations that he sanctified in his lifetime. Lumbini, the birthplace of Gautama Buddha, is in the foothills of Himalayas, 25 kilometers east of Kapilavastu. Lumbini in the past was a beautiful garden located between Kapilavastu and Devadaha. Devadaha was the maternal home of Maya Devi, the mother of Gautama. When Maya Devi conceived and the time of the delivery approached, King Suddhodana sent her to Devadaha with royal retinue. On her way, attracted by the beauty of this great garden, Maya Devi halted in the garden overnight. That very night, rather unexpectedly, Maya Devi delivered the child, the future Buddha, in Lumbini garden, while holding the branch of a tree. That was a full moon night of the month Vaishakha, which we celebrate today as the Buddha Purnima. But sadly, on the 7th day of the delivery, Maya Devi passed away, leaving the little child in the care of her own sister, Prajapati Gautami, the second wife of King Suddhodana. The sacred site of Lumbini today houses some ruins of ancient monasteries, a sacred Bodhi tree, an ancient bathing pond where the infant Siddhartha was first bathed. The famous Ashoka pillar, the Maya Devi temple, where the exact location of the birth of the Buddha was spotted. The Ashoka pillar at Lumbini has significance. It marks the spot of Ashoka's visit to Lumbini in the 3rd century BC. According to an inscription on the pillar, it was placed there by the people who were protecting the garden at the time to commemorate Ashoka's visit to Lumbini and the gifts offered by him. This great stone pillar was first discovered in 1896 by the Nepalese archaeologists. They used the records of the renowned Chinese pilgrim Fa Hian in identifying this pillar. Lumbini is today a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is specifically nominated for the International World Heritage Program. Bodh Gaya in Bihar is the place where Siddhartha Gautama attained enlightenment and became the Buddha. Bodh Gaya is well connected by road to Gaya and is 16 kilometers to the Delhi-Kolkata highway junction on Grand Trunk Road, Dobhi, and 105 kilometers from Patna. The nearest railway station is at Gaya, 16 kilometers away. The Bodhi tree, peepal tree under which the Buddha had attained enlightenment and also spent the first week in meditation after the enlightenment, is located here. The present tree, people say, is probably the 5th in succession of the original tree, which was earlier destroyed many a time by man or natural calamities. Ashwaghosha, the ancient poet of world renown, hails this place in his immortal work Buddha Charita as the navel of the earth. Fa Hian, in his 5th century AD travelogue, notes that it was at this very place that all the previous Buddhas attained enlightenment, and to this place would all the future Buddhas go in order to attain Buddhatva. Siddhartha, after wandering for 6 years in search of the final solution, which could end the suffering of mankind, arrived at this place. The Jataka stories depict the great Bodhi tree as an object of veneration, as the Buddha himself sanctioned it. It is regarded as a symbolic representation of Gautama Buddha himself. Scriptural evidence speaks to this fact. Mahabodhi Mahavihara, popularly known as the Bodh Gaya temple or the Great Stupa. The Mahabodhi Mahavihara is one of the 84,000 shrines erected by King Ashoka in the 3rd century BC. Mahabodhi temple is probably the sole surviving sample of the architectural genre of those times. Though historians debated over the exact date of this great construction, it is generally accepted by all that this great edifice dates back to the pre-Christian era. This temple was under the protection of the Buddhists till the first part of the 13th century AD. It was destroyed later by the Turkish invaders. The footprints of the Great One in stone are found at Bodh Gaya. In the great book Buddha Vamsa, the feet of the Buddha are said to have been marked, each by 4 symbols of Vardhamana, Chakra, Chhatra and Pataka. The Chakra, wheel, represents the turning of the wheel of the law, Dharma Chakra Pravartana, by the Buddha. Vaishakha Purnima, the full moon day of May, is a blessed day. The most important events, namely the birth, the enlightenment and the departure of the Buddha, occurred on this day. The committee at Bodh Gaya organizes Buddha Jayanti celebrations every year on this day. Sarnath is located 13 kilometers northeast of Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. This holy site of hoary past was also known as Mrigadavana in our scriptures. The word Mrigadavana means deer park. A very ancient resort of deers at this place is identified by the name. Gautama Buddha, after his enlightenment at Bodh Gaya, went directly to Sarnath. Panchavargiyas, the 5 disciples of him who had left him when he had chosen to forego his fast in favor of a middle path for nirvana, met him here again. He gave his first sermon to them and set the wheel of Dharma into motion. The Sangha, the Buddhist order of renunciation, was also founded here at that time. In the 3rd century BC, Ashoka erected here a column of 15.24 meters height. This great pillar has at its top a capital bearing 4 lions. This motif is treasured in the Archaeological Museum today. This emblem was, more than 2 millennia after the Emperor Ashoka, adopted as the national emblem of independent Indian Republic. The most impressive and massive structure at Sarnath is the Dhamek Stupa, which is also one of the oldest surviving Buddhist constructions that we find today. Archaeologists ascribe its construction to Ashoka, who raised it to mark the spot where the Buddha preached his first Bodha and started the Dharma Chakra Pravartana. The most venerated mantra of Buddhism, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, owes its origin to Sarnath. The Buddha, one day before his Mahaparinirvana, the grand departure at Kushinagar, included Sarnath along with Lumbini, Bodh Gaya and Kushinagar as the 4 places that his disciples could consider sacred. The Buddha's approval made Sarnath a hallowed place for all future. Alexander Cunningham, the 19th century explorer, found the Mrigadaya when he was making excavations in these parts. James Prinsep, another young archaeologist, did monumental work in bringing out these ruins as well as their history to the fore.